Koholo Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kokodash. I also want to give double honors and praises to the elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone GMS who rule and teach well, who taught the brothers, right? And shalom to the brothers too, who taught the brothers this 100% truth. And now this truth is being, spread far and wide all over the world for the hopeful elect to catch wind and be edified. So to everyone I just mentioned, shalom. This video is, you could see this title here. I'll read it. Canada's online government spy law, specifically talking about Bill C-22, which is in Canada. And just to read a few quick stats on it, it says the laws aim to, quote, make it easier for police and intelligence to access online data, force tech companies to be able to provide user data when provided, and expand monitoring capabilities within internet systems. Right, so they say it's for safety, quote unquote. But in the end, it's just going to lead to a surveillance state, right? Where the government or police, they have a back door to everything that you do online. And if you just take it for face value, you might think, oh, it's not bad, let the police do their job. But we know that this is not really about stopping crime. We know that this is Esau ultimately using this system not to stop crime, not to prevent crime, not to, protect Canada, right? And I'm sure there are similar laws in America, right? But this is not anything about safety. This is ultimately at the very end, we know that this is going to be used against the elect, right? Because there is a very specific message that is being spread online that Esau wants nobody to hear, okay? And it is this 100% truth, this 144% truth, okay? The one truth, the only truth in this world, right, relating to the Bible. Esau does not want the doctrine, the 100% truth from the men of GMS to be spread, because ultimately it spells out their downfall. Okay, and we know of something called a famine of the word. This is not even a scripture that I had planned out, but I should read it because this is what it all ends to. So let me just famine of the world. I said it wrong, my bad. Famine of the word. Okay, hold on. Where can I find this scripture? Famine of the word. Amos. It's in Amos. Amos chapter 8 and 11. We'll do 11 and 12. It reads, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east they shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. Right now, we are very blessed. The earth itself, the ground, the dirt, the trees, the animals, the humans, we're all blessed that there are prophets on the ground, in the highways and hedges, preaching the 100% truth. But Esau sees that as a curse, okay, because ultimately it spells out his ending. And we know that all this surveillance, this specifically of the internet, is because, here I am, a prime example. Without the internet, do you think I would have known this? Here I am in Calgary, Alberta. Unless somehow I got lucky and went anywhere in Canada. I know there's one in Yukon, there's Quebec, and there's Ontario. Unless you visit these places, and even if you do visit these places, now you got to catch the brothers at a specific time, even though they go out, pretty regularly, same time, same day, weekly, week in, week out. But still, you know, I, me personally, I haven't seen a brother, okay? I haven't seen them with my own eyes in the flesh, but thanks to the internet, which is that's what the internet was created for. It's to spread this message far and wide. And very shortly, coming soon, and I'm going to say Lord willing because this is just going to be another prophecy that gets fulfilled that's going to bring us closer to the end. You know, it's going to, Lord willing, this, to quote, I will send a famine in the land, nor thirst, but of hearing the words of the Lord. Hopefully this famine comes soon, because then, hey, we know that prophecy again is being played out. And when it does, the people are going to be searching everywhere, trying to get even a crumb of the truth. And it shall not be found, right? So, quick video. Let's just watch it together. How many minutes am I in? Oh, how many minutes am I in? 8 minutes. Okay. And let's just watch it. Quick video. Let's watch it.
Do you like the government spying on you when you're using the internet? Because guess what? They've just tabled a law that would allow them to do so. Let's talk about Bill C-22. This is a new federal government bill that was introduced in Parliament on March 12th. And essentially what it is about your digital privacy and giving police easier
I'm trying to
access
speed it
to
up.
information
Sorry.
about what you do on the internet. So what does the bill do? It does a couple things. First of all, it gives the police the power to obtain information from internet service providers only on the basis of a reasonable suspicion. Right now, if the police want to get a production order to compel somebody to provide information like data or documentation, they can do that on the basis of reasonable grounds to believe that a criminal offense has been committed and that the information will afford evidence of that criminal offense. But this bill reduces it down when it comes to telecommunications and subscriber information to just a reasonable suspicion. And they've actually eliminated that too, because there are some circumstances in which the bill permits the police officers to make a demand directly to telecommunications company or phone company or internet service provider, those types of people, to give information over to the police just because they asked for it. And it even goes further than that. If you can believe it, the government has a provision in this bill that requires telecommunications or electronics companies to build in a police backdoor where the police can just go in and access your information on their own. The only exception to this is if the telecommunications company feels that it would create a systemic vulnerability for them, that it would expose them to hackers that could shut down their system. Now, are there powers to review this? Yes. But those powers don't belong to you. They belong to the telecommunications company. They essentially wrote into this bill that the internet service provider can apply to the court to say, no, we don't want to give you this information. Now, I don't know about you, but my internet company doesn't act in my interest. I read my bills. I know that my bills are so expensive. They don't care about me. They care about their bottom line, because I know my internet doesn't actually cost what I'm paying for it every month. Do you think they're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars every time to fight one of these requests from the police to protect your privacy? No, their service agreement probably already has language that permits them to just turn over information to the police on request anyway, because they don't want to spend their money on protecting your rights. Your rights are compromised by these companies, and by the way that this bill is going to function, if it passes, in allowing the police all of this extra information and the power to get it on such a reduced standard. And you might think, well, you know what, Kyle, it's my privacy interests that are at play, so certainly I can apply to the court. No, you can't. I mean, you could, theoretically, but guess what? The bill has provisions that actually require telecommunications companies to zip it, to not tell you that they were ordered or demanded by police or through some sort of production order or search warrant to turn over information to you for up to a year. And do you think after that year, the communications company is going to reach out to you and say, oh yeah, by the way, we handed over all of the data related to every website you visited in the last 6 months to the police a year ago, and just thought we'd let you know? No, they're not going to do that. Okay, so if you're not doing anything wrong, you're not looking at CP on the internet, you're not a PDF file, then why should it matter? Why should it matter if your phone pings in the same location as a potential person who is under investigation for those types of offenses that then links you to that investigation and you get caught up in it and you get charged because of the location where your phone pinged or where you were connected to the Wi-Fi, and then all of a sudden, now your life and your reputation is ruined. Why? Because the government created a law that erodes your privacy rights in your online activity. That's the natural consequence of this. It's not, if I'm not doing anything wrong, I shouldn't be worried about it. You should be worried about it. Because with our online activity, where our internet shows where we are and where our IP address shows what we're doing isn't always accurate. And the problems with that mean that innocent people are going to be caught up in some of the most horrific crimes we have. And that is something we should all be afraid of because we are all vulnerable to that.
And that last part that she was saying, like, before I even get there, like, who knows what Esau is hiding. Well, we do know, but I'm saying on the individual Edomite, who knows what they're hiding? That we don't care about that. That's not what we're concerned about, right? But what that last bit that she said, where she was talking about you may be linked to somebody who's under investigation. Obviously we're not worried about the Diddy Epstein stuff that they've got going on. We are, what Esau, I'm just gonna say it now because I've heard brothers say it. What this could turn out to is that they could blame the word. Okay, they could blame us for being, somewhat near somebody who does, and I'm just gonna say it now. Okay, a T attack, a terrorist, right? Attack. I don't know if I'm allowed to fully say that, so I'll say it like that. A terrorist attack, right? And that's a beautiful, that's going to be a way that, Esau might think, this is a beautiful way to blame the word and to blame these innocent men of the truth, right? And I think there is a scripture like that. Let me just find it. Maybe that's not a scripture. I didn't really plan on getting that scripture, but through the Spirit, like when she was saying, you might get linked up with somebody who did something, all because, your internet connection shows you're in the same Walmart as them or something. At the end of the day, everybody's going to Walmart. Everybody's going to Real Canadian Superstore or whatever you have in America. Everybody's going to the grocery store. Everybody's going to the gas station. Everybody's going to school or work, right? And Esau will use, your location, and he'll see that either you preach the truth or you watch videos on brothers who preach the truth, and he will use that to blame the word. Damn it, I don't know if that's a scripture, or I don't know if that is something a brother has said. I'm sure it's a scripture. It's just for now, right now, I just cannot find it. So Salakia, and I do want to read some other scriptures, um, because when you control the internet and everything damn near is on the internet, I mean, you can basically control everything, okay? And China is a good example to where you could say one small, not even small, whatever, you could say one thing about their government, and that's grounds for them shooting down your social credit system, which is something that Esau wants to introduce here. Don't be fooled, right? So let me read Revelation 13 verse 16 and 17. Yes, it reads, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." Obviously, this is talking about the C hit, which, don't be fooled, will be completely online 24/7. But even before we get to that, their 6G infrastructure, this online infrastructure needs to be properly equipped to be able to control everybody. So how do they do that? By introducing bills like that, right? And that's it should be pretty obvious that if this chip is going to be connected 24/7, that they need a online system that can pretty much do their bidding, do their will for them, right? Which is complete surveillance. They know when you wake up, damn near, what you do, when you do it, where you go, when you get off work, how much you buy, what you avoid, whatever information they're collecting, they want it, right? And they're after it, and it shows, right, by these bills and these laws being passed. And ultimately, it's for their purpose of, first and foremost, blaming the word, right, to detract, or yeah, I think detract is the word, but I'll say to make this truth less appealing to those who really need it, right? To the sheep that we're trying to feed through these videos. Lord willing, they're edifying, okay? And after he blames the truth, makes it less appealing, this final step is to come for the brothers who are bold enough in this truth, in this faith, to tell the truth, right? And speak out against what's happening in this world. So they are, and well, I'm just reading like notes on this, and I see the word gradual, gradual removal of freedoms. And I mean, it's true. 5 years ago, this wasn't really in the talks. Now here we are, while the world is distracted with everything. Perfect timing for them to come and try to implement this when your mind is focused on okay, what, spring break, Houston party, what else, Olympics coming, what else, if video games, Crimson Desert, but they're trying, while you're distracted by so many different angles, perfect timing for them to come in and strip even more of your freedom, even more of your privacy. And, you know, it's not about your freedom and privacy. Okay, you see this Edomite here. All right, where is she? You see this girl
Phone
here?
pings in the same way.
She doesn't really get that, it's not really about you fucking heathens. It's Esau couldn't care less. He's already got you fucked up. Okay? I'm not, he's already got the heathens. He's already has his people fucked up. Here she go wearing pants, short hair, just going off. This is a typical woman nowadays. Like, I'm not even trying to say nothing too crazy, but like, if your outward appearance is already fucked up, then how much more your inward, right? Esau's not worried about you, sweetheart. He's worried about he's fucking terrified about the truth that the Wada Yahweh Hashem Yahushai for blessing the elders, apostles, and bishops, to get this 100% truth and pass it down to the brothers, and eventually it reach me, and Lord willing, it reaches who it needs to, the elect. All right. This is what they're truly terrified of, because they also know that once all the elect are sealed, hey, it's showtime, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Prophecy will continue and continue and continue until what we're truly waiting for, which is Yahweh Shai to come back and utterly destroy Babylon, utterly destroy the wicked nations, and put us back in rulership. That's what Esau's fucking frightened about. So he's just trying, he's doing anything he can to slow it down or to completely divert that, right? And just to wrap it up, like I said, it's not about safety, it's not about your freedoms, whatever. It's all about, to be honest, when I think surveillance, when I think bills around the internet, man, I really want to see it. Okay, and I just saw China is starting to sell their chips. Okay, I think they're brain chips. That's what I want to see, right? This whole digital fuckery that they've got going on is to prepare for a digital surveillance, and when everyone is surveillanced, is being watched digitally, maybe the next step is, some, gradualism, right? They're gonna maybe do, okay, everybody get a digital ID and shit. I tell people, like, yeah, if it's mandatory, you need it to go online, whatever. Yeah, I'll be the first one to fucking set up for a digital ID. That's just, is gonna be part of your life. It's not the fucking MOTB quite yet, but fuck it, whatever. Get on that, and after it's, everybody's on the digital ID, now you need somewhere to put it, right? Your phone can get hacked. See, my one iPhone, it's like a work phone. That phone is bugged the fuck out. Like it's I think it's a newer phone that I'm recording on right now, this Samsung, and it's so fucky. Like, it's a decently new phone, maybe like a few years, like what, 3, 4 years, but it's so bugged to the point where they're just trying to get us off these devices that can be, erased, broken, destroyed, whatever. They want your phone, they want your ID to be in you, right? Under your flesh. So it goes from digital surveillance to digital ID, and then eventually it'll go to the CHIP, which ultimately will control everything. And another thing they're really after is, the money, the transactions, right? So that's the pipeline, that's their end goal, and don't be fooled. um, you Jake, and you Edomites, don't be fooled thinking that this is for the betterment of you. It's really not, okay? And only time will tell, but no, it's not true. What will tell is the scriptures, okay? The scriptures have told you that don't trust your enemy. Whatever they have for you may come off a smile, but in the end, it's a poisonous smile, okay? Because we know Esau is out to get the whole world. That's that's what his goal is, right? Ultimately, his goal is to get his birthright back, to rule over all the nations. But unfortunately for you, Esau, and thank God for the whole world, that is not the case. You're a wicked, wicked, wicked being. If you, it even says in the scriptures that if Esau had his way, there would be no more flesh. If this went on for too long, there would be nobody alive on this earth. That's what I should find that scripture. Hold on, give me 1 second. What is that scripture that says that if wickedness were to rule for too long, there would be no more flesh on the earth? Look at look at in Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. It reads, and except those days should be shortened. Okay, let me read that again. It says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. This is Yahushua himself speaking. That's why it's in the red letters. And the water to Yahweh and Yahushua, okay, for shortening these days, because if he wouldn't have, we would all be fucking dead. That's the wickedness. That's how corrupt and vile Esau is, okay? So, you saw that video, Canada's online government spy law. This, the comments, Esau's pretty pissed in the comments, Not one comment supporting this. Modern Canada is horrifying. This is only Canada. This is bullshit compared to the fuckery that they've got going on in Babylon. All right. So, no one, and these are all Edomites, most likely. Not one comment supporting this bill C-22. Right. So, hey, the water Yahweh Shem Yahushai for shortening the days for us. The water Yahweh Shem Yahushai for blessing, the elders, the apostles, the bishops, to see this way ahead of everyone else, right? To prophesy this to the world, and, for the Akim, the brothers who took their message and spread it worldwide, the water to them, so that I was able to receive it. And the water Yahweh Bashim Yahushai for allowing me to make a video on this. Lord willing, it was edifying to you Akim, you brothers watching this. And with that, I say shalom, and on to the next.